The majority of Afghans do not see the Americans as foreign occupiers who must be defeated. Instead, they are hungry for the Americans to step up and help them make their country safer, their government cleaner, and their economy stronger. They are disappointed because the international community has done too little, not too much. Microfinance does not require previous experience or loans to the same extent as a small business loan, so it's easier for women to enter the microsector. When the Taliban captured Kabul in 1996 after a searing, 4-year civil war, they immediately instituted laws which fit their utopic vision of the time of Islam's founding more than 1,300 years earlier. Afghan women's lives offer the most visible sign of the imagined past to which Afghanistan's present was to be returned. Giving birth to a baby does not make you an infant. Because microfinance is so manageable in terms of the size of the loan, people have made it the cornerstone to lifting women out of poverty. I think entrepreneurs are born and not created, and so I think you see a lot of similarities among entrepreneurs in different parts of the world. Their backdrop may be very different, but their drive to create a business and to create jobs remains very much the same, whether it's in Silicon Valley or Kandahar or Kabul. What I learned at journalism school and at ABC, those skills are the same no matter where you are in the world. In Afghanistan, life is so fragile, who knows what the next week will bring. That fragility really affects the way you're able to report, and the kind of stories people will tell you. I think for larger-scale entrepreneurship, it's true for men and women that people who already have capital tend to do better. I think that sometimes people are frightened to take the risk of entrepreneurship. The one thing you learn from looking at places like Afghanistan is that the power of business to do good is enormous. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur, but women who turn to business, turn to economics. Because there are people depending on them, I think that their creativity, their resilience, their spirit, embody what's best about entrepreneurship. A social entrepreneur finds market-based solutions for change. Because without a market-based solution, without a sustainable solution, you go nowhere. We are so used to seeing women as victims of war to be pitied rather than survivors of war to be respected. When people can't feed their children, nothing else positive happens. You don't have to look farther than the United States to see that. I worked at abcnews.com at a time when nobody knew what .com was. I don't often think of Donald Trump, but his daughter is very smart. She's a woman working in real estate, which is predominantly men, and she's both savvy and articulate about her business and her business acumen. I'm a really bad driver. When I'm in LA, my husband always has to park the car for me, because I'm likely to hit something. No woman in Afghanistan is in business without support from either her husband, or her father, or her uncle, someone. The draconian prohibitions of the Taliban years and the gains Afghan women have achieved since the Taliban government was overthrown in 2001 are now well known and often cited today. Afghans lucky enough to live in secure regions can go to school. Women may work in offices, and a burqa is no longer mandatory. The women of Afghanistan have a voice, and it needs to be heard and not forgotten. My mother worked at the telephone company during the day and sold Tupperware. At night, evenings, she took classes when she could at University of Maryland's University College, bringing me along to do homework while she studied to get the degree she hoped would offer her and me greater opportunities. My mother never asked me whether I wanted to go to college, but told me I was going to the University of Maryland on an academic scholarship. Educating girls just 1 year beyond the average fourth-grade education increases their eventual earnings by 10 to 20%. Every additional year of secondary education can increase future wages by 15 to 25%. Educated mothers are 50% more likely to immunize their children than mothers with no schooling. In Nigeria, along with its West African neighbor Ghana, women are now starting businesses in greater numbers than men. It is high time to declare an end to the breastfeeding dictatorship that is drowning women in guilt and worry just when they most need support, after the birth of a child. No one argues with the many benefits of breastfeeding for those women who choose it. Women who choose to breastfeed should get as much education and support as possible. War reporters are often seen as a wild bunch of thrill seekers who wade into danger zones simply for the sake of the adrenaline high the settings inevitably provide. But this one-dimensional explanation leaves out the core of the story, which is that reporters go to these places because they feel the tug of responsibility. Women in Afghanistan do not ask the United States to stay for the simple or sentimental reason of safeguarding their rights. They are the first ones to say that this is not enough of a reason for the world's remaining superpower to remain in their country. Certainly, Afghans in general and women in particular want a country in which security is a daily reality rather than a campaign slogan or the focus of drive-by speeches from diplomats dropping in for the day. Single mothers are raising more of America's children than ever before. Numerically speaking, half the population cannot be a minority. Yet when it comes to women, the numbers plainly show that the mathematically impossible is the socially acceptable. It matters whether women sit at the table. No one speaks up for you when you are standing outside with your nose pressed up against the glass. You cannot window shop for power. A lot has been said about single mothers. Most of it has been less than flattering. The lessons I learned from my mother and her friends have guided me through death, birth, loss, love, failure, and achievement, onto a Fulbright scholarship and Harvard Business School. They taught me to believe that anything was possible. They have proven to be the strongest family values I could ever have imagined. In Tunisia, where women have long enjoyed greater rights than many of their Arab neighbors, women pushed for and won a new electoral code that guarantees women will make up half of a candidate's list for office. The military alone cannot end the conflict in Afghanistan. On that much nearly everyone can agree, offering a rare island of consensus among sides otherwise divided on the question of how and when America's longest ever war should wind down. In reality, Afghanistan has functioned as a nation-state for more than 2 centuries, and its army and bureaucracy reach back to the 19th century. The United States will not be in Afghanistan forever. We do not invest in victims, we invest in survivors.